Yo! It's been a month and a half since I uploaded, but you know what? I just didn't feel like playing the game much. But now that we have the new version, we're back, and today your boys got Should You Pull Carlotta or Skip by your boy. We're gonna go to PowerPoint as usual, right? The first line I have for you guys, waifu pull. There are no real insane endgame yet, so why the heck not to pull whoever you want, right? Because at this moment in time, if you have enough limited 5-star DPSs and their supports as well, there's no reason for you to struggle in endgame. So yeah, I'm just gonna let loose, get whoever I want. Next up, let's take a look at the pros of Carlotta. She has very high damage output with ignore 18% defense in the form of landing a certain debuff. It is very easy to land that through inherent skill. You just gotta attack them. You almost always have the sub. Second point, she mainly has resistance skill damage, which is perfect for someone like JINHSI since both are glacial as well. This is finally the perfect character for JINHSI to support, because before you would say JINHSI's best with JINHSI, but JINHSI's glacial damage bonus is completely wasted on JINHSI. However, with Carlotta being a glacial as well, JINHSI finally has that perfect synergy, so you want that if you have a JINHSI. Third point, Carlotta has a really simple default combo. Basically, all you want to do is do two things with this combo right here. You want to gain 6 stacks of crystals, which is shown with the icon beside of your character. You can hold up to 6 and you want to get up to 6, and you want to spend them. By spending them, you're gonna get your forte bar to go up, and we call it substance, okay? So go from the top, you need 2 things, crystals, and by spending crystals, you get substance. Max your substance, that's all you want to do. Of course, this default combo says use intro into skill, 5 basic, charge basic, alt, then basic 5 times again. It's very dumbed down, but this is not a video where I go deep into how you play her. It's more like to just tell you it's easy to use her entire combo. It's not that complicated at all. I'll dive really deep into how she works in a separate video or guide later on. But yeah, pretty much, if you get a Carlotta, you shouldn't have an issue playing with her. She's easy to use. And with the final point, she's insane in single target scenario because she is a gun holder. So she's not going to shoot AoE damage. She's mostly going to shoot target down on one character. Her entire skill and ult that she has does not have as big of a range as someone like JIN or JINHSI does have as well. Therefore, she's going to shine a lot in single target compared to AoE. And with that said, let's move on to her cons. These are the reasons why you might not want to get Carlotta. The cons, number 1, she could match JINHSI or camellya as a DPS. Now you might ask, that's not a con, that's incredible. You would be correct, but the con here is that she needs the JINHSI if you want to match the top tier DPS. Now whether or not she could overtake him, I'm not sure. I haven't done the math. I've seen sources from the CN side that did calculations and said with JINHSI, Carlotta can match JINHSI. In fact, she can overtake her by a little bit. I think there's a lot of variables in that equation, so I'm not gonna just say she's better than JINHSI. But one thing's for sure, she needs a JINHSI to be compared to the golden DPS that we have. And you might not own a JINHSI, or you might not want to get a JINHSI. Point number 2 of her cons is that the free-to-play version of her team is not very optimized or is limited. Now, limited being limited in terms of performance, yeah? For example, the free-to-play team, you can only go either Sanhua for the sub DPS or Lumi for the sub DPS, both of which aren't perfect allies. Sanhua, of which doesn't give perfect buffs to Carlotta because she does resonance skill damage the most, not basic attack. And for Lumi, it is decent, but Lumi herself with Carlotta, you're gonna realize it might be a bit harder to make sure the whole cycle is run as smooth as possible. You might want to get a bit higher energy regen or Carlotta because JINHSI does give you energy on your main DPS, right? However, do note it is still very usable. If you are a casual player, free-to-play player, don't have JINHSI, just use Sanhua or Lumi. You can still use Carlotta, no problem. And the final point of her cons is that she is less ideal in AoE scenarios. If you take a look at the footage we have from IGN, Carlotta's damage is honestly a lot less ranged. You can shoot from far away, yes, with a gun, but it's not AoE compared to, say, someone like JINHSI. She nukes in areas, right? Like the dragon nukes in area. Her skill also does an area effect damage, right? Even in the footage itself, Carlotta has a little bit of issue, like just having to spin around, killing the enemies left and right if the enemies spawn around her. However, I don't think this is that big of a deal. It's just a slight inconvenience, right? Shouldn't be the main reason you don't want to pull her. And with that said, those are the cons. Moving on, let's talk about should you pull waifu Carlotta. Now, I have separated it for different POVs. POV number 1, if you're a newbie player, you just came in, right? Version 2.0, new year, new me, you want to try out Wuthering waves as your first gacha, something like that, you want to consider this. Carlotta's banner value is actually decent because Sanhua is available in there. So you can pull for Carlotta. Maybe you know, get unlucky, you gotta pull 70 times. In between the 70 times, you might obtain yourself 4 or 5 Sanhuas if you're lucky. That's gonna be really good for Sanhua with her resonance chains as well, meaning duplicates. It's gonna make her really good. Once you get Sanhua and Carlotta, you have the free Verena. Just choose Verena from the free selector or whatever. Then you'll be able to have a team with Verena plus Sanhua plus Carlotta. That is a team that's gonna carry you through everything. Even in endgame, you might need to invest a bit more in terms of echo quality, but you're gonna pull through no problem with that team. And if you decide to go for JINHSI with a rerun instead, then you have a team that you don't even have to invest that much. It's gonna clear endgame no problem. Yeah. Point number 2 for a newbie is that JINHSI rerun will happen next phase. Now, this is something you want to really think about because right now the best DPS available is JINHSI, not just because of the damage output, it also is because of just how versatile she can be. You can nuke multiple enemies because of her targeting that actually, you know, just nukes on the ground. You can actually explode and hit multiple enemies at once. There's a lot of invincibility frames as well, a lot of animation with her skill that makes it a lot easier to survive. Not to mention a really accessible JINHSI team is just using Yuanwu with Verena. Yuanwu is free. Verena can be free if you choose her from your selector or whatever newbie, you know, benefits, right? So in the end, for a newbie, do you go JINHSI or Carlotta? I'm gonna tell you straight up, both can beat endgame for sure. I think JINHSI is still easier and less punishing because you legit just spam the one thing. I don't think I've ever died with JINHSI at all, and you can use a Yuanwu with her to really make yourself even bulkier and stuff, right? Plus, all of them are free. So if you're a newbie, you can legit get one JINHSI, boom, you have a team automatically. However, do remember, it's my opinion, right? You're free to have yours. Don't go for my family because I ain't going for yours. Secondly, if your POV is from a free-to-play old person, right? If you've been playing for a while, you're free to play though. You don't have everybody, then it will depend on 2 points. Firstly, it depends if you already own enough DPS. If you have enough DPS, at least 2 teams in my opinion, like say you have JINHSI and Camellya, then you don't need another DPS. You don't need them. Not saying you can't have another, but you don't need them. And secondly, it depends if you own or will own JINHSI. I'll straight up say, I really do recommend Carlotta owners to get JINHSI. So if you don't have JINHSI, I really do think you want to get a JINHSI through her rerun. That will happen along with Carlotta as well. However, though, you gotta pull for 2 characters. It's not gonna be that easy. Do note that with JINHSI, you don't need her own weapon. A lot of others could work, so that's one thing to feel pleasant about, I guess, but you still need JINHSI, you need Carlotta herself. It's gonna be tough for you to pull if you're free to play. Her power level, I've already mentioned. All that's left is it's up to you. Yeah, based on your account, make the best decision. Finally, if you're a whale, what do you do if you're a whale? Depends on your feeling. When you have money, it turns out you have a lot of options, something I never had. So yeah, if you feel like it, go for it, right? Point number 2, it also depends if you already have enough DPS. If you're a whale, and if you're a whale that doesn't just have fuck you money and can get everybody without like even thinking, then you gotta think if you have enough DPS. If you do have enough DPS, which chances are you do, since, you know, you probably played the game for a while and you spend money on it, and again, there's no need for another DPS. You beat everything. So at that point, it's still up to your vibes. If you like Carlotta, go get Carlotta. The only gimmick here is I really do suggest getting her only if you have a JINHSI, or get JINHSI and her as well, because it makes it so much more smooth. And that will be the end of this slide. Moving forward, we have Carlotta, JINHSI, and Roccia. What are the comparison between all 3? And I probably butchered some of their names, but whatever, you get what I'm talking about. These are the characters that, okay, the rerun JINHSI, yeah, and you have Carlotta phase 1, Roccia phase 2. Who are you really trying to go for? The first one I have is JINHSI versus Carlotta. I already mentioned this again and again, but here's a more, you know, practical and straightforward comparison that I have. Easy to use. Both are just as easy, I think. Both have like a really straightforward combo. Of course, the ceiling of their combo is going to be really hard. It's the same for every character, but their default combo is really easy to use. Point number 2, who has higher damage? It depends on the team. If you compare perfect JINHSI team versus perfect Carlotta team, first of all, with the new echo sets, things might change with all these teams. So with all of this volatility, I'm not going to tell you which team is exactly better yet. And number 2, I don't have the numbers anyway. I have speculations from the CN side, so all I'm gonna tell you is both best teams are gonna be top tier. However, what I can tell you is if you use a JINHSI with a Yuanwu, well, compare that to a JINHSI Carlotta team. JINHSI Carlotta team wins. Yeah, it's easy because that's a perfect team. With Yuanwu, you are missing a lot of damage. The contrary is true as well. If you're using JINHSI plus JINHSI and compare that with Carlotta plus, let's say, Sanhua, which is not perfect at all, then JINHSI is gonna outperform the Carlotta. Point number 3, versatility. I actually think JINHSI slightly wins in this term just because of how easy it is. AoE or not, one boss or not, floating boss or not, I can still use JINHSI, no problem. She's gonna hit it. She's hard to hit by the boss. It's just so versatile, right? Not saying that Carlotta cannot hit AoE enemies, it's just a bit tougher. So for that, I think best go JINHSI is still on top just for this, and it's not that big a deal, I think. You shouldn't base your decision just by this one factor, but rather the whole 4 factors I have here, which let's just go on to the 4th one, which is the conclusion. Pull who you love. The game ain't that hard. I'm doing this video to pay my rent, yeah? Because honestly, when you ask the question to anyone, like, there's only one answer. Pull who you fucking love, mate. You will never pull the people you love and then end up bad. Yeah, you're not gonna do bad just because you pull who you love. The game's not designed for you to have to pull someone or it's unplayable. If that happens, it's an ass game, but that's not Woo. So yeah, pull for who you love. If in the end you love Roccia more than both of these, just go Roccia, right? Speaking of Roccia, from IGN's showcase of the gameplay, Roccia is a Havoc support slash sub DPS, it seems. And I would say there's not much info yet on her, like officially for sure. But I will tell you though, you want to pull her if you main Camellya and you want Camellya to reach even beyond. The value of it is not known exactly yet, but Roccia being a limited 5-star, I almost certain is going to be the best pairing for Camellya, which doesn't quite exist yet. Right now, there's not an absolute perfect pairing for Camellya, and Roccia is going to be the person that allows Camellya to even be better. I straight up think Camellya might overtake JINHSI if Roccia ends up being able to support her highly. But well, we're not sure yet, and that will be all for today's video with a donkey on the screen. I hope I helped you out. Me personally, I'll probably get everybody because I'm a content creator. Happy 2025. I'll be trying to post more until the day I burn out, I guess, or until the day my rank catches up and I have no options left. But you know what, guys? You should have a great day and enjoy tomorrow's version too, right? I cannot wait for that myself. That'll be it for today. Take care.